Hi everyone, this is Killshot 99 Dead. This is The Walking Dead, Season 9, Episode 12, the Alpha Pike update. Yes, there are brand new images that are floating around out there, and it is tying into some things that we have been talking about. So we are going to funnel it down a little bit more. I've got a bold prediction that we're going to make tonight with some newer details. They are still rumor, not confirmed spoilers, but if you're afraid that they're going to become spoilers, I'm just going to warn you. Do not watch, because some of it is from Spoiling Dead's fan page, and they've been accurate so far. The baby crying, a couple other things. So I'm going to talk about some things that I do think are going to lead us to a brand new prediction. So before we get too far into that, I do want to give a super chat shout out to Valar. Valar saying, hello 99 Army, Kill, Steph, Emmy, Kel, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patrons, and of course, all the super chatters. We had a ton of them last night. Really, really active stream. A lot of conversation shifts. You guys participated in the beta talk, and then we went over Watch Passage. We did Talking Passage. Tonight, we've got 2 streams. If you guys don't know what this week is Double Shot Week. You're going to get 2 shots of Kill Shot every night. We're going to do 8 o'clock and then 9:30. So we're starting out with the Alpha Pike update, some bold predictions, and then at 9:30 tonight, we got some Negan news. So a popular theory is going to be, I hate the word debunked. How about just destroyed, not allowed? It ain't going to happen. So I'll start with this. If you guys will join me and look straight ahead to Alpha, over her right shoulder, which is the shoulder to our left, closest to the Pike, you see a picture of a person slightly covered up with some of the leaves. There was a rumor out there that was Negan. It is not Negan. It's not. So just forget it. He's not a part of the group. Ain't going to happen. Not him. People have zoomed in and they said, hey, it looks a lot like him. One, I didn't think it looked like him. But secondly, there was a tweet by whoever was one of the Whisper extras that's out there and said that her husband kind of looked like Negan or something. It stirred up a whole bunch of controversy on the internet, but that's not him. Also, I can tell you that Michonne is not there either. But some information I'm going to tell you is going to go a long, long way. Because I can now, with certainty, tell you that Henry is not going to escape this week. Not going to escape, okay? So I know I said that Henry might lead them to the kingdom in a couple previous videos. That's not the way it's going to go down. But there is a major, major clue out there that is going to scare me. It does. You know Michael? Michael's like, please tell me Henry dies, please. Here's the thing that I want to say with Henry, a.k.a. Hennessy. A lot of people, including myself, that don't like Henry, are not big fans of Henry. If Henry is to die, it's going to be very tragic. Trust me when I tell you this. Because the way I'm thinking it's going to play out is going to be brutal. So just be careful what we're cheering for. Now, you guys can look at the screen and you can see there's a lot of red on the ground there. I mean, that's not just a little bit of blood. And then you have a head on a pike. Alpha Lydia standing there for effect. So, Damon DeRizio says, I think Alpha makes Lydia do it. This appears to be, at this point, the aftermath of the female that Alpha is going to kill this week. This is not from 15. This is not from 16. This is from episode 12. It's important to remember the time frame that we're in right now. Henry is safe for at least 3 more episodes. So, Michael, I don't think so. I'm not totally going to rule that out, but I'm going to tell you this. If Lydia kills Henry, she's clearly done. There's no way Lydia's character can ever come back from that. Would we agree with that? Even if feel like, if it's meant to feel like she's forced to do it, her character's gone. Now, I'm not saying her character won't be gone, and I think that would be a very interesting storyline. But there was something that was said in the preview this week that we all need to pay attention to. I know we're all looking at the symbols, and we're looking at Jerry, hey, my kid's head just went, and all these things can be perceived as foreshadowing. But before we get into the deep speculating, there are some things that are said that are right in front of us that many people are missing. When Alpha is walking with Lydia in this week's preview, she says, "You had to lie." And she said, "It's just words." And she didn't have the "I am Alpha," but there was a little bit of drawl to it. You had to lie. It was just words. Air. Think about that for a minute. Let that sink in. Not that Alpha is about telling lies. See, this is kind of, for me, this is a big reveal. This is important. This is something that hopefully is going to make you kind of pause a little bit. Pete D. I love it, Pete D. When does Tara become a lawn ornament? Pete D, it's got to be on movie night. But I'm going to update you as soon as I get the information, Pete D. You better believe it. It's like December-ish. I love the responses to it. So why is it important that Alpha teaches Lydia how to lie? Or why could it be important? She's already been captured. See, this is why I go back and forth on the Henry death. So, Julie, to a degree, everyone lies. Could it be because when they do kill Henry, she doesn't want him to suffer? She wants Lydia to lie to Henry. And by lie, I mean lie to Henry to tell him everything's going to be okay, to put him at peace a little bit, because she knows that Lydia has an attachment to Henry. And killing Henry would be very important to the overall story. But it could also calm him down a little bit emotionally. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And then whack. But I think it's relevant that Alpha is still doing some parenting. And that's where her personality changes. She goes from evil leader. She goes from mom. She goes from strategist. There's a lot of different things at play. And I agree with that. Hennessy will take Alpha's servant, her child, whatever, Lydia is to her to accomplish that. Alpha's going to see Henry as a threat. But at the same time, she's got to do it in a way that she's making Lydia understand the bigger picture. She doesn't want to isolate Lydia. She can teach her, she can set an example. But at the same time, if she murders Henry without consequence, she's going to lose her daughter. And she doesn't want to lose Lydia. She wants to toughen Lydia. She probably wants to groom Lydia for what she feels to be leadership. Alpha took a risk. She didn't have to go back to get her daughter. You knew that was coming. She could have let her stay there. So Lydia is an investment. In a weird sort of way, where Carl was the future, Alpha probably sees Lydia to the future as a certain degree. So, I told you guys there's going to be some deep psychology with Alpha, and for us to understand her, it's impossible in some regards, because you almost have to make yourself cold and hard and evil in order to do it. It's easy just to turn and say, no, she just wants her punching bag. She just wants her daughter there to abuse her. But no, she loves Lydia. And she is so twisted that she thinks everything she's doing is showing her love for Lydia. As long as we use that as our base. Even back when Frank wanted to keep Lydia there, Alpha was willing to kill Frank, not just to leave, but to take her daughter at a very early. So as Lydia's grown, you got to figure this is, 10 years worth of abuse and training and love and all of those things mixed together in a warped sort of way. She wasn't going to lose her daughter. And she's not going to lose her daughter to anything or anyone now. And here's I guess, the part that shows you that Alpha is hypocritical. Where was natural selection? Where was choice or free will when Lydia was at the hilltop? Yeah, it's all fun and games when it's somebody else's baby that you put down to be devoured by a walker. But when it's her daughter, oh, okay, well, she's willing to sacrifice other people. That's not natural selection. That's her choice. She went there with an agenda knowing she could lose people to get something that she wanted. But she has the audacity to say, oh, we'll just let the other person's baby die. That's natural selection. No, it's not. So it shows you that Alpha might be tough. Alpha might have a strategy. But she has selfish human characteristics as well. And she was prepared for conflict. That was the big deal. So, with all that being said, let's not question Alpha's love. Now, the Pike update. This is clearly the woman that crosses Alpha. Now, this is Spoiling Dead's fan page information. It's not confirmed, but I do have to tell you this. They have put about 15 predictions up so far from 6-7 months ago. And the first half of them are all 100%. So as I tell you this, I'm going to say it's going to be accurate, but they also make a prediction that I'm still not sure about. So they might be 14 out of 15 before it's all said and done. Or, you know what? They may be 15 out of 15. If they do, we're going to give them a super shout out. Because that's some super early stuff. So this week's episode is about Alpha killing a couple of her own. Now, apparently, we can still call it a rumor, as I said, Beta will restrain the boyfriend. So we don't know the story. But the rumor is that one of Alpha's might be rising up against her. Maybe they don't like the way things have been going on. They don't like, this constant marching. My feet hurt, whatever. But she says some things, and Alpha apparently kills her, cuts her head off, and passes her head around while her boyfriend is restrained by Beta, and might even hand the woman's head to her boyfriend. Let's let that sink in for a minute here. I need a little bit of silence with that one. That's ridiculous, right? And apparently when they're done with the girlfriend, they go ahead and stab the boyfriend to death too. So I think that's why you got this big pool of blood. And then ultimately you got the head on the pike, and the head on the pike is Lydia being lectured about the rules and the way things go down. Once again, not confirmed yet. Might be confirmed on Thursday. So, that's episode 12. We know we got 4 episodes after that. 14 is a flashback, so we find out about the Exodus. So that gives us 13. So in 13, I think we're going to get the tail end of the fair. I'm sorry, not the tail end of the fair. In 13, let me go back. I think we're going to get the preparations for the fair. And then in 14, we get the flashback. Then in 15, we're going to get the fair. In 15 is where I think there's a lot that's going to go down. So, as Negan's mayo sandwiches pointed out, it appears that there is a Daryl infiltration this week. That Daryl is going to steal a walker suit, and that one of those people out there very possibly could be Daryl. Not Negan, not Michonne, but one of those in the disguise is Daryl watching all of this, watching the beheading go down. But what is being reported right now is that Daryl will definitely go in. We don't know if there's going to be the Daryl fight this week. And I don't think the Daryl fight is going to be this week. I think he'll stay around for a little bit as long as Henry's safe. But the rumor is Henry will escape in 15. So I think the Daryl fight with Beta will be in 15. And I think Daryl will play his hand, and that'll be what frees Henry. Have not heard anything about Connie and Dog. But we also keep hearing some rumors that Daryl, Michonne, and Carol could end up tied up at the Whisperer camp in 15. So, and I know we're building up to the Pike update. So there's a couple scenarios of how this could play out. And I'm going to ask you guys, I don't know. I could see this happening in either way, 50-50, either way. So you guys got to help me with this. Daryl is captured, Michonne Carroll captured, but in 15, Henry escapes. And apparently, Alpha is on her way back from the fair. We've mentioned this. We actually mentioned this about when this first came out. This was 4 months ago or so. We first had this chat. You guys will probably remember. And Alpha encounters Henry on the road. We don't know what happens to Henry, but Alpha makes it back with a bloody machete. Now, a long, long time ago, I'm sounding like I'm going all Don McClane on you guys. No, this is not American Pie. But a long time ago in the stream, I predicted that we would not see the death of Henry, but Alpha would come back with a bag full of heads, and we would see something that looks as if it is Henry's head and not see the actual death of Henry. And Carol, Daryl, and Michonne would all witness that. So I'm going to ask you guys right now, and go CSI mode, not your heart. Does Alpha kill Henry on the highway? Or is it too obvious that she comes back with a bloody machete? Now, the reason I ask you this question is because Spoiling Dead's fan page is predicting that Henry dies in episode 15. And I don't really like to go against them because they're so accurate almost all the time with everything. That's why I said, out of about 15 predictions, I feel like 14 of them are going to be correct. I don't feel like this one is going to be correct. I know I initially said it. I know I initially said that she's bringing Henry's head back. But for him to escape only to be confronted on the road, decapitated, and then brought back, that's the part that I just don't really, I don't really get. Well, it's a good question. What would cause Alpha not to kill Henry? Look, if Henry escaped and Alpha has a chance to kill him, I think she's killing him. I think she's not going to let him be any part of Lydia's life in the future. I don't think she's, hey, little man, go run out in the field. But what we don't know is whether or not Negan and Judith are still out on the prowl, or might be out on the prowl at that point. And potentially could save Henry. I don't know. I don't even know if Henry's worth saving. Well, Melody, that's only for this week's episode. Here's the thing I can tell you, Melody, is, right, I get it. But we're talking about 15. And one thing I can guarantee you, Negan ain't going to be in that cell for the rest of the season. And I'll tell you why. And nobody has went on record of predicting this yet. if Michonne is captured, Judith is going to let Negan out of the cell. You can rest assured, I will guarantee you at this point, it would be one of the dumbest storylines ever for Negan to go on this, venture in season 9, 9B. He goes out, he's walking along, got Western music playing. He gets to the sanctuary. Him and Judith gets back. He turns himself in. And then for the last 5 episodes, we see him sitting in a jail cell. That ain't going to happen. Negan will be out. The only question is going to be is whether Michonne lets him out or Michonne goes to help and Judith stays back and Judith lets him out. And I think that's what's going to go down. And I think that's where you're going to see that partnership. And this is something I've been out in front of for a long time. Is I am certainly not going to disagree that we've got Daryl, Carol, and Michonne all trapped. Why is Carol there? Because Henry was captured. Why is Ezekiel not there with Carol? You guys want to help me with that one? I mean, I hate to say it, but it is pretty obvious. Dead. Scott Kernan, super chatting it. If Oceanside be revealed to be dead in 9:15. Scott, you think all of them? I mean, we can get Cindy back, right? At least be and Cindy, a couple of them. We need at least a couple of Oceanside to help out here. So no Oceanside news until 9:15. I hope there's some good news, and I do hope that some of them show up at the fair, that they weren't completely annihilated. So once again, if I'm going to go with the fact that Richard, I get you, my man. You can type anything you want. Just type something besides my name. If you got a question, then throw a question out there. Scott Kernan, Cindy apparently has a new show. So certainly the other shows are going to be a factor. And I read a review earlier today that I wished I wouldn't have read it because it's Forbes magazine, and you guys know I'm like anti-Forbes. But the headline caught my eye, and honestly, Forbes does some of the worst articles on The Walking Dead in the history of journalism. But their headline had a point, and it said The Walking Dead's going to be in trouble because Maggie's new show is going to be really good. And it does, from the preview, does look pretty good. So if you guys remember a while back when we said Michonne, Daryl, and Carol, and I did say, look, Daryl's going to be in trouble because of Henry. Carol, I think, is going to lose Ezekiel, and Carol's going to go out looking for Daryl and Henry. So she's got motivation. Michonne has to have a reason to go, and I will tell you, the more I think about why would Michonne be out there instead of taking care of Alexandria, is I think it's more of a principle issue. One, Daryl's in trouble. So Michonne is certainly going to try to pay back all that Daryl did looking for Rick. So it's a perfect setup. So Scott super chatting says Forbes is more reliable than others. You know, I don't disagree with the reliability. I just think when it's not an investigative type of journalism thing, when it's just an opinion, I read some opinions that's just really crap from Forbes. Right, Dark Stark. I mean, Michonne owes Daryl, but there's another thing that could be in play here. If Ezekiel is dead, and Carol is the de facto leader of the kingdom, and Michonne asked Daryl to, they're going to need some help at Hilltop, then Michonne is the other leader. So in the past, it almost feels like the communities didn't help each other. Maybe they had some battles and they didn't want to risk their own resources. Well, it looks like Michonne might be getting that Rick Grimes mode. One, she cares about Daryl, but number two, wait, Alexandria's got to do their part, and I'm a leader of Alexandria. Let me go help. The problem is, Alpha will probably have the 3 most powerful people on the show in her possession. If that's not despair, if that's not the end of the line, for us as viewers, Daryl, Carol, and Michonne, you can't get any more powerful than that. Those are the decision makers. So I think the reason they're going to do this, and I'm fully going to support Spoiling Dead's fan page on this theory. I agree that those 3 will be taken captive because I think it's great writing. It's going to show the need for the others, the other people to step up and fight together without being told to do it, without it being a leader's responsibility. It's going to show what's going to win the Whisperer War. And what's going to win the war is everybody coming back together as a community and fighting the way that they know how. That's the only way they're going to win. Scott Kernan says, apparently episode 14 is a 90-minute episode. Well, I wonder, Scott, how long in that 90-minute episode will it take before we find out what those X's are for? 89 minutes, you think they'll wait, kind of just drag us along? We got Whisper Zeta. Will Daryl put on a mask in the next episode to blend in with the Whispers to get Henry? Yes. Daryl apparently, Whisper Zeta, I say yes, but it's not confirmed. It is the next rumor waiting to be confirmed. So we're just going to call it a strong rumor. But I'm going to imagine one of those in the background is Daryl. I mean, Daryl's going to see firsthand what these people are capable of. Also, Henry's tied to a tree there somewhere, so Henry's got to watch this too. Pete, we don't. That is a great question. Do we know how many Whisperers there are? No, and the problem is they have a ton of walkers at their resource, so I'm going to go off the comics, and according to the comics, there are hundreds of walkers that are out there. So even if there's only 40 or 50 Whisperers, you may have 400, 500, 600 in their group that they can just sort of summon at any given time. And Pete D, it's probably one of those things that we may not ever know. Now, it's going to be a hell of a thing to fight the war and not know how many of your enemy is. So to me, this war, I think is going to go on beyond season 10, and I still think a few of them are going to get away. But thanks for that. It is. It's going to be cool once the fighting starts, but at some point, we got to get Carol, Daryl, Michonne free. Scott Kernan says, Alpha, not the capturing type, kills most often. That's true, except, Scott, I think in this situation, when you have a Daryl, a Carol, and a Michonne, that's a lot of leverage I don't think you just want to kill. Now, she probably should have, because we know that's going to be a fatal flaw for her, is letting them live. It's kind of like in the passage last night. If you guys haven't watched The Passage, sorry, we're going to spoil it. When they say, turn around, get on your knees, they should have shot him. So the longer Alpha leaves these people tied up, the better chance they're going to be rescued. And if she would have just killed all three and maybe put them on a pike, and I'm not advocating that, but I'm saying from a fear factor, you put Michonne on a pike and you take that pike to the gates of Alexandria, put Carol on one, take it to the gates of Kingdom, and then Daryl to the hilltop, I think pretty much everybody's going to surrender. Because maybe they don't have anything to fight for except fear. But if there's the chance they could be alive, then they got something to fight for. So it's not going to work out in her favor, in my opinion. So we're about 35 minutes. We are going to have a 9:30 stream, so some of this is going to come back up. As some people alluded to a little bit earlier, we do have picture confirmation that Negan this week is back in the jail cell. And that's important for a lot of different reasons. So we're going to talk about that at length at 9:30 tonight. There will be some other whisper questions that are going to come up. There are going to be some things with the background here. So let's table those, and we'll talk about that at 9:30. But the major topic of conversation is going to be, why did Judith and Negan go back? The conversation that's going to happen between Negan and Michonne, what Negan can bring to the table, and some potential other things, some information that he could release, and it will tie into this episode. So we're going to wind this thing down. We're at 36 minutes. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody being here. The next stream will be on this channel. You're not going to get a 1 hour notification because we're less than an hour. So just know at 9:30 that we're going to kick it off. So stay tuned. You guys could jump back in here, have a little bit of chat in about 5 or 10 minutes once the invitation is posted. And I will see each and every one of you at 9:30. Really quickly, just want to thank the patrons, the sponsors, the moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kells, all the super chatters that were super chatting tonight. Thank you so much once again. And a big shout out to the 999 Army. If you guys are brand new, you love The Walking Dead, make sure to subscribe. And one last thing. There's 250 of you in here that have not hit the like button. Pike the like button. Come on, people. This is the best, most interactive group of people. Not because I'm here, because you guys are here. You guys completely build this channel up. Like this thing up. Share the video. Tell people about it. And get them in here, not just to listen, but get them in here to type. Get them in here to talk, because we want everybody's opinion. All right, everybody. I will see you all at 9:30 right here. Have a good evening. Peace.